Come join the movement, let's take AI to the next level. We're breaking barriers, we're writing the code. Together we'll conquer, watch our ideas unfold. The future starts here, joining the revolution. Let's say our podcast, the ultimate solution.
I don't have these sliders open here. All this time I'm going, hey, what's going on? Everybody's like, wow, it's cool. They're just standing there talking to nobody. I hate it when I do that. It's just something to do with me. At least I'm not screwing up, right? So it's Ross. That's Ross's opinion. I like it. Works for me. So, as I was saying in the beginning, welcome once again to Best AI Podcast. This is Leland Best of Best Studios LLC and my partner in crime, Ross McCamey of Maverick Solutions. We were running a little behind the game here. I was waiting for him to show up. I was trying to figure out why I can't get things to work right when it comes to audio. Every time I start my own broadcast, I do this stuff for a living, and I never have this problem starting a broadcast unless it's my own. So I don't know. It just happens, dude. So what are you so excited about? Go for it. Tell me. Talk. Oh, wait. Nope. See, your audio's not working. There it
My
is.
audio's
No,
not on?
No, I got it. We're good.
All right, we're good. So aside from just being excited about where we are in tech right now, last week I just got access to a system that will change the way we do lead generation. So people, when they're searching on Google, we can now target the keywords that they're searching, and we connect that to different data points. If they've opted in anywhere on the internet, we can collect their contact information. Well, it's illegal to automate a call to these people, so we can't use our AI system for that. But what we can do, as long as we stay within the CAN spam laws, which means we have to state our intent of why we're emailing them, we have to let them know it's a marketing campaign, we have to give them an unsubscribe button, and we cannot do a bait and switch. So everything that we are 100% above board with, we only want people to engage with us if they want to, and we want them to opt out if they don't want to, because honestly, it costs us and our clients money if we continue to contact them and they're not even a viable contact anyway. Yeah. But the cool part about this is every single person that we're contacting via email has been searching for the keywords that we're targeting them on. So they are actively looking. And so what we do is we have AI generate a customized email personalized to that person based on the data points we have on them and the keywords that they were searching. So we're already getting engagement. I've gotten 40 leads in since last week when I signed up myself for this. And I was just in a meeting and I signed up a real estate agent who's going to pull in 10 buyers leads a day and 10 sellers leads a day. And we're rapidly sending out the emails as they pop in. Now it takes about 48 hours for this to propagate and get going. So we won't get those leads going until then. But after that, she's going to be getting 20 leads a day in her inbox every single day. Now she has full capability to email and call them based on the phone number and email, as long as it's not automated. So those leads are free game. And she's paying 60 cents a lead. She's a beta tester, so I'm giving it to her at cost. And so for 60 cents, she has an opportunity to close somebody, which she's going to make 3% commission on that sale or purchase of a home. So imagine the difference that that's going to make to her in that spot. The other piece of this is, let's say they opt in from the email, say, yep, I want to talk to Maverick Solutions about the AI, fills out a form. Once they opt in, our AI will send them a text and follow up, getting all the qualifying questions done. And then my AI assistant will follow up with them and book a call with them, with me personally saying, hey, Ross has been texting you. You got some emails. Would you like to talk to him in person for a full consultation? And at that point, they are fully vetted, qualified leads for under $5. Less than a dozen eggs, you can get a lead. Like the cost of a dozen eggs now is over $5. You can get a lead
Seems like
qualified.
I actually get mine for $3.89 for 18.
Okay, so probably around the same price as a dozen eggs.
Just messing with you.
But it's I mean, you sit here and think, because when you think about it, Leland, right? Our system costs 2 cents per email generated by the AI. You paid 60 cents for that lead. Now, if you're listening to this and you don't beta test, you're going to pay 75 cents a lead. You're not getting the base cost of this. You're going to be paying 75 cents a lead. We have to make a profit.
Yeah.
But think about that. 75 cents and then 2 cents per email. And then our AI is going to text them for free. The only cost is the SMS fee. So if you're using Twilio or SMS, it's roughly 1 penny per text in and out. That takes a lot to stack up to four. Yeah, it takes a lot to stack up to $4 or $5. So you are doing this completely automated. The only time you ever talk to these people is if you decide to pick up the phone and call them, you decide to text them, you decide to email them, or if the AI kicks it out to a question that they had that it couldn't handle, I set you up with one inbox. You track the human handled stuff that the AI can't handle. You look at that place, or you look at your calendar and they booked with you. Dude, I am so excited about how we're changing the way we do marketing. It's insane. 100% automated. Let me say that. If it gets human transferred over, it's not automated anymore. Let's say 90% automated.
Well, that's where the close really takes place. Sure, there are some, products and services you can close with a form and a payment, gateway where people just go and sign up and get their product or service that they've been there to get in the first place because they had intent when they got there. But a lot of people aren't aware of certain brands and services that are available now that AI's out here. We have stuff that we haven't even thought of before. It's like Ray and I on our podcast just at 10 o'clock, we talked about the jumping around that's going on. Greg Brockman's heading back to OpenAI by the end of the year. He left OpenAI on what seemed like even bad terms in the beginning, but it probably really wasn't. You got Mira Murati leaving OpenAI, which was one of the founding, originators to the system. So and even Greg, but the fact that it's kind of like what we used to, I was telling Ray when I was in engineering, we would get offers from other engineering firms all the time because it wasn't necessarily the person, it was who, what they had in their head. It was what they knew and what they were capable of producing. And in that regard, we would bounce. We'd go from one engineering firm to another, and everybody knew us. It was like, oh yeah, so-and-so from PEA, and he's working over at so-and-so now. And oh yeah, he just moved to this one. And, we would just basically play, musical chairs with some of these firms. And that's what's going on now in AI because people are a commodity.
Yep.
In this space. And so those that have the knowledge are being picked up as soon as possible to make sure that they fill those gaps.
When it's that way, I think in a lot of industries,
Yeah.
being in insurance for over a decade, not just the CEOs, but all of the middle management and leadership of the insurance companies, they went from Progressive to Allstate to State Farm to Farm Bureau to Farmers, and they just rotated around. And then they would all of a sudden get back to the company they left, but they're picking up information from every company as they go, bringing best practices, and it's a revolving door of the same people who understand this. And the more they move around, the more knowledge they gain, the more valuable they become to the company they were with before. And it's really how it's done in the big business world. You revolve these people around, especially if they didn't burn bridges.
Yeah, and you talked about voice. When it comes to making these outreach connections to these people that may be, cold leads, they may be dead leads in some cases. But when I say that, when we're attacking leads with AI, I don't mean the system you just mentioned, but the fact that we can even do that with cold leads and have the opportunity for someone else to control that conversation. But we're still seeing, there's those little delays. There's that, it sounds like an AI kind of thing. Well, Ray and I were talking about the open AI voice component that's coming and will be available to a lot of us very soon, through either NoVox or other systems that we have incorporated. But dude, that's going to change the game as well. Because when we start talking with AI that has inflections and near immediate response of like under 500 milliseconds, which is not a routed conversation, it's literally boom, 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 back and forth to the AI engine. Then you have something incredible. And we were just talking about, like, what can we do with that? The ideas are endless right now because we don't know what we can do with that. We're just thinking about what we can do with that now. So, that's where I keep telling people, screw thinking competition here. Just stop it. If you're doing that, stop it. Don't think you're in competition with anybody. Just find what it is you can produce.
And I'll go a step further to reiterate on what you just said there. It is not anymore about competition. AI is going to be the great equalizer. The internet was the great equalizer for the small business, and now AI is going to be the great equalizer for all business. So if you build out everything here, everyone's going to have the same access to the same tech. The difference being, how do you use that tech? Like right now, our biggest thought at Maverick Solutions is, how can we get an omni-channel AI? So let me give you a little bit of an example for anybody out there listening and doesn't understand what's going on in AI right now. Everything is disjointed. There's a lot of really cool use cases, but nobody has an AI that can work like a human. It can email you, remember that email conversation, text you, remember that email conversation, reference it in the text, go to Facebook, have it reference everything, and just have a conversation as if I was having a conversation with Leland. And I'm like, oh yeah, that email that we were talking about over here, or that text we were talking, or remember that call we had and we talked about this. No one has that yet. So we're working towards that unified omni-channel AI that can act as a human. And that is going to be the point when we really see AI making a huge impact in the workforce. If we can start getting that omni-channel communication, which I'm almost done, I'm using forms. It will take a transcript of the conversation, we put it into a database, and the AI always goes back to that database to reference.
Mhm.
So we're working on that, but it's not easy. To be able to
No.
get all those automations done, it takes a lot in the background, and there's still a lot that can break. So it's going to have to get a lot more streamlined, but it's a work in progress. And once we achieve that, I think it's going to be huge, because even OpenAI isn't really working towards that. They're working towards the AI brain on the back end and giving us developers the opportunity to build these things. So we don't even have the big tech sector going after this yet. This is going to be anybody building on top of these LLMs that are going to be able to do this.
It's all UI right now, UI and UX from our perspective, because people aren't that familiar with how to interact with LLMs. They just see a command prompt, basically, again, like we used to have in DOS, when we were prior to Windows. Everything we did was on a little command line, and we had to tell the computer exactly what we wanted it to do in textual form. There was no user interface with clicking a mouse on an icon. It just didn't exist until Windows was derived. And once we got into that interface, it was very hard for people because they were so used to just writing code and telling the computer what to do by simply typing it in the format that they needed it in. And then it was like, okay, I got to click on an icon. I got to make it do this. Now, how do I make it do this? Now, dang, it's not doing what I want it to do. Same thing we're dealing with here. It's no different. It's just, what is the interface that's going to be developed that's going to make AI that connecting fabric to humans? And it's not unlike what software was with Windows to humans. It was just, Apple did it first. They came up with the first graphical user interface. Windows copied it and has been continuing to copy Apple since, in most cases. You see it in Windows 11 as well with the Mac interface type duplication. So it's always a one up. It continues to evolve, and we hope at some point it becomes visual and a more sensual. And when I say sensual, I mean sensory, okay, type of experience with AI. So that, if we touch something, it knows we touched it. If we say something, it understands what we said. And if we show it something, it can look at it and understand what it is we're showing it, like we do with images, where it can read an image and tell us about it. So I'm excited about the voice, real time voice, because that I was talking to Ray today about how do we get, he asked me, what was the biggest problem you have with voice AI right now? I know you're working with it. I said, honestly, it's when we go to interrupt an AI. You know, if you're talking on the phone with it and it hears somebody yell out in the background or hears a dog bark or you cough or whatever, it interrupts the AI. And if we don't have an AI that has a memory established that it can follow up with or be able to, you know, hold that conversation in a pleasurable way where it's not constantly interrupting itself and saying, oh, what was that you said, sir? We were talking to Ray about, well, maybe it should just say, did you mean to interrupt? Is there something I need to address? You know, where it actually asks the user, in a sense, were you trying to interject? Was there something you'd like to say? Rather than just pausing, stopping, and trying to, you know, make that part of the conversation, which is what it's doing right now instantly. It's like, you know what I mean? Like if
Oh,
you
yeah.
call, if you call
100%. That is one of the worst things.
Yeah.
You start talking, and I think pretty much in every single one of my videos that I've done a demo, there's at least one instance where that happens.
Yeah.
And that's just the limit of the tech right now. There's no way around it. You can't make it better. It's the limit of the tech. So uh, it is one of those things that needs to be solved. It needs to have full context and it needs to understand if it's making a point, it needs to be able to talk like a human where it continues to talk on that point,
Yeah.
or it understands that the human is interjecting for a real reason and it shuts up and it listens and then it continues. And it just doesn't have that yet. And I think the context of the conversation is going to be the thing that takes the longest. And honestly, I'm not sure if it will ever get to that point because I don't know if we want an AI that's going to be assertive. I think we want an AI that's subservient all the time. So I don't know what the solution is going to be here, but to really have a nuanced conversation like a human, it has to be able to have that assertiveness, to be able to have that voice.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I think we're going to have that constant interruption. It shuts up. It just needs to shut up faster and understand the context.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what Ray mentioned too, is like he will definitely consider that in his application because when he does this, when he does his advancements inside New Oaks, which I really love about Ray's builds, is that he's not necessarily relying on third party. Okay, we talked about URL to video today, which was another aspect of chatbots that's going to be coming very soon, where you'll be able to ask the bot to present you the content that you want to see, like a real estate bot would be able to show the actual perimeter of a house in video form right on the screen in your chat widget. And this is something that can be done by third party sources like URL to video, which is an actual app out there, and there are others like it as well that we use. But Ray's going to incorporate that construct within New Oaks. So it's not going to be relying on a third party processing to establish that video. It will be generated right inside the code within New Oaks. So that's the other beauty about, and the other failure about AI in some cases is that you got to know your tech team. You got to know that those people understand the coding environment and what it is that they need to generate, because I see a lot of people out there that are still playing with it, myself included, that don't always get it right. We run into snags all the time that we have to, you know, try and figure out and make work. But you also have a lot of hacks out there that are just selling products before they're finished. And I came across another one today I want to look at just for safety's sake to find out, are these people really making a true claim? I just saw a claim get 30 different LLM access points. Okay. One price, never pay again, $10. And I'll have access to all these LLMs for life, supposedly. So I'm just letting you know these offers are showing up all over the place. So I want to see if it's actually legit.
I would be curious to see how they're doing that too, because long term, that gets
Yeah.
expensive.
It should. I don't see. I know the price keeps coming down, Ross, when it comes to, you know, AI tokens and everything. That
But $10
price,
one time, I
yeah,
can run that up in a month.
I'll send you the link and we'll check it out because it's
Let me
got to
see,
be
dude.
worth
If I can
some.
get access to that, I'm gonna run that up like crazy.
Yeah, I just
Sorry,
don't want to.
sorry,
I'm
Dev
not
TV,
gonna.
whatever that is.
Yeah, and I'm not going to push it on anybody until I test things myself. I don't like to share links with these offers because they come out of Warrior Forum, they come out of JB Zoo, which are both affiliate marketing sites that a lot of cheap name coders go out and build software products on and sell for dirt cheap upfront. And then their price goes up like every day. It's like every day the price keeps going up. And we've been seeing a lot of developers in the AI space over on places like AppSumo and SaaSzilla and Dealify, which are
Going
other
under.
lifetime deals, are failing miserably because these guys are trying to create startups on like AppSumo.
Yep.
Bad call. You can't do that. They take a big portion of the profit because they're marketing the software for them. It's a huge take by AppSumo.
Speaking of, if
they
you
sign
are
on
a
that.
SaaS doing startup, I've got a new way to market
Yes.
this, and I won't take a piece of it like AppSumo. You just pay for the leads, and we'll get them direct out there to somebody. So,
Yep.
shameless plug.
I totally agree, dude. And we would like to help any of the SaaS developers out there. We are SaaS developers ourselves, and so we have 2 dev teams working different locations to do things for us on a regular. So when it comes to understanding the SaaS arena and what it takes to get customers to build MRR for your service to operate and continue to operate, we see a lot of people failing out on these LTDs trying to sell these lifetime deals to people and selling too many of them up front. They need to stop that. But some of them are doing it as a game. They think they can come out here and get a bunch of capital and then just close shop and say, oh, well, sorry, we made an offer. That's the lifetime of the software. Sorry, we'll try again. And then they do it again and again.
And what happens is they own the IP of that tech, and they go and open it under a new brand, give it a new facelift, make it look different, but it's the same back end tech that they took our money from, and they built that out from there. And we sit here. I'm not going to use the phrase that I would use with something in our hand, and we got nothing to show for it.
Anyway.
Exactly. So that's it's big right now. How many? I can't remember. Was it close to 100 that has shut down over the past few months?
Yeah, it's insane, dude.
It's nuts.
I do a lot of due diligence though, and I haven't had the failures that a lot of other people. I mean, I'm seeing people in some of these SaaS groups just complaining that, oh, every LTD I buy is shut down. I'm like, really? I've had like one.
Well, and I think they're going after the super inexpensive ones too.
Yeah,
like you get the $10, $20 SaaS, that's probably not going to last, and it's probably a cash grab. Like I start looking at these SaaS things like I look at phishing scams and different things. Like there's signals and signs to look for. But I wouldn't have known that.
Sales letter is a mile long. That's a red flag.
Yes.
We try to avoid these big. If your product is good, you don't have to convince people to buy it. Just show them the product and let them play with it. It should work. If it doesn't, then don't buy it. I try to do that for people. Ross and I test software on AppSumo all the time, and we send it back when it's no good. That's the beauty of AppSumo and other places like that, is you get to try it out before you actually invest heavily into that. But we have also invested thousands and thousands of dollars in software that we need to operate our agencies. So that's why this price of service doesn't come cheap. And that's why setup is so important, because it does take an infrastructure, like Russ always mentions, and a framework. If you don't have that, you're just spinning your wheels with the hopes that AI is going to do something for you. It's really not. So
you got to have the mind that you got to be creative with it. Like when I made a post today that I was dreaming about AI last night, I was literally thinking about how I could use our AI system to better companies. And literally that was all night. I tossed and turned all night because I was just dreaming about it. I'm so excited about it. But you have to have the vision to be able to put the AI to work. Otherwise, it doesn't have direction. I'll equate this to a Second Amendment argument, right?
Mhm.
The gun isn't going to go out and shoot somebody. The person is going to shoot somebody.
Yeah, agreed.
Same thing with AI. AI is not going to go out and do the work for you. You have to direct it to go do the work, and you have to instruct it. It's otherwise it's just sitting there, and you have to be creative.
And as we've shown hundreds of times in the past, this is an example of one of the AI agents that we've constructed over here at AIO, using the same system basically that Ross uses at Maverick, is the fact that it keeps changing. It keeps evolving. We have to keep up with this stuff. It's not like we bought software 2 years ago that we can build chatbots with, and now, nothing's changed. We're just still building chatbots. No, we keep having to reiterate the growth of, what is it capable of? What can we train it? How can we tweak it? How can we customize it? How can we make it learn and maintain a history and a knowledge base? And how can we assign the work? Should we put it into hunt mode and make it do its own thing? Or do we do a more manual setup where we're controlling every step of its features? And when we do so, are we going to use SMS? Are we going to connect to voice? Are we going to use emailing? Are we going to have it auto flip when it can't answer a question, or give just a response that I'm sorry, I can't help you right now, try again later? Do we shut it down every day at 5 o'clock, or do we let it run 24/7? And in that, how many different exterior locations are we going to connect access points to so that these bots can do their work? And that's why the framework's so important, and why we have to be there at the beginning to build it out. Otherwise, you're just handed a tool and said, here, go for it, run with it, see what you can do. It's going to take 2 years to learn it first, but go ahead.
And it does. It's not easy, man. That was the biggest thing that I had my eyes opened on when I got into this industry. You know, going from insurance, you know that people don't fully understand their insurance policy, but it's an established industry. So you at least semi understand it. AI is brand new. CRMs and software are not easy to learn. Like Leland said, it took us a couple years to really get proficient with these systems. Like it's not just a here, I'm going to tinker with this here and there. It's I'm in the system every day, hours a day, not just building for my customers, but building for myself. I use this system. Leland uses the system in our business every single day. And if you're not willing to go to those links, then you need to find somebody who is and have them build you out a system. Like I said, Leland and I have worked on systems now to where all you have to do is check your inbox and check your calendar. Everything else works in the background.
Yeah, you may have
And
fill out a form now and then, give us some data so that we actually know who you're working with, the type of people you want to work with, or the business that you can, put together over a year's time that you've taken pride in. I mean, you don't want to deliver the wrong message about your business. And if you just say, hey, I go talk about my work, go tell them what I do. How does it know? It doesn't know anything about you. It can scan your website, but that doesn't tell it who you are and what.
I'll show real quick. I'll share my screen
Yeah,
and
go for
show
it.
exactly what you're talking
You
about.
should be able to do
this.
that with no problem. I'll just flip to you and
Yep,
you do a
I've got it.
screen share on here. So it's going to automatically flip to you. There you go.
So the first thing I want to show you guys is this is the exact same, not system as Leland's. We use the same tech on the back end, but his is completely different than mine. We've customized different things. We add in different systems to make our own systems unique. One of those systems, like I do, is this. We pull in these high intent leads. So you can see we put in all the data here. And what I do is I webhook that over into the CRM. Once that happens, we run it through a cold email sequence and we put it through a framework. So this is what Leland's talking about. You can't just email people and expect them to know what it's about. We build a framework for everything. We use merge fields so that we can pull data in from these leads as they pull in. And then inside of the system, we create an email subject line and an email body, and it runs. So the AI completely generates this. I don't do anything with it. Now, these first two are going to pop up and it's going to be generic. The demo down here, I show this so that you can see what an actual email looks like and you can read through it.
They may not be able to read it that well, but it does show up on the screen in full text. So you may have to blow things up on your end, folks, if you're watching on a cell phone or not. And just to let everybody know, we do broadcast on the weekly at 11 a.m. Eastern over on YouTube. You may be seeing this feed in other locations on Facebook or Instagram. You never know where this feed might show up. So if anything, please try and always look for us over at bestai.tv, where you can follow us at all of our locations and register for the workshop, which we're going to be performing at 12 o'clock. If anybody is registered and actually shows up, we don't do this for our sake. We do it for yours. So if there's no one here, we just continue on our day. Other than that, we want to make sure that people have access to us. And this is the best way to do that, is to just give you a day in the week where you can show up and talk to us and ask us all the questions that you have. So Ross, go ahead, finish up what you got there for the email.
That's it. I just wanted to show this. And what do you think, Leland? Is it worth reading this, the whole thing, or just kind of showing it and let people read? Okay.
I think the idea that we're able to generate random emails that are,
and they're not random. They're based on data points.
Yeah, I meant like never a dull, templated email that keeps going out with just a change of a name or an address on it. It's not like that at all.
It increases the open rate, and to be honest with you, it makes a better experience for the reader on the end receiving it. It doesn't feel like you're just a number. It feels like somebody cared enough to write you a message, personalized to you, because that's what happened. I set this up with my ideal clients to talk to them directly. So why would I want to spam 1,000 people with the exact same message? That generalizes it. I want to take specific data points and I want to have a conversation with you about the problems that you're looking to solve. And let's get down to the brass tacks of it. I don't want you to sit there and just be a number. This whole system is generated to build a relationship to them. By the time you get to me, we've qualified everything. We know that your problem is X, our solution is Y. And when I sit down with you, I don't have to figure out what your problem is. I can delve deeper, and I will, because now I get to do that without the constraints of I've got 30 minutes and I have to find out all this information about you. And then I've got to kick you off the phone really quickly to get to my next appointment and do this. No, we've already collected all this. So now I'm like, hey, Leland, how's it going, man? How's your day? How are your kids? And by the way, if you told me you have kids, I already know you have kids because you gave us that information. So now I can continue that conversation and delve in deeper to get to know the person. Because we used AI to take care of the stuff that's transactional, I now get to build the relationship. So now my entire business is relational. It's a whole different model from what we've had before. And yes, it does make that first portion of collecting the data a lot more transactional. But on the back end, it's 1,000 times more relational if you choose it to be that way. There are going to be businesses who abuse this and they make it more transactional, and they're probably going to cut their meeting time down from 30 minutes to 10 minutes. And you'll still be a number. But that's also the beauty. If you want to work with somebody who's transactional and you don't want to spend 30 minutes getting a relationship with somebody, you just want your problem solved in 10 minutes, that will be doable.
Yeah.
That's what I'm so excited about with this. This is absolutely 100% the future of where everything is going in the business world.
Oh, I agree. Because when you look at it too, we can't possibly compete with the amount of calls and responses that the AI can perform in a given day either. I mean, it's just impossible for a human to even fathom the capabilities of not just the process, but to be able to replicate that 1,000 times over on the same time period. That's the unbelievable part of it all for all of us, because we're like, I can't hire 1,000 people to do that job, but I can hire one AI to do it 1,000 times at the same time.
That's the thing. It's at the
money
same
saver
time.
there is ridiculous. Yeah.
Now, I will say we're still bottlenecked by your email provider. You can't send a million emails at the same time. Your email provider will kick you off. So you have to trickle that down. But if you draw this out and you send a million emails over a year, and you have, let's say, 100,000 people contact you over that year, and the call to action is to call your AI, and let's say you have 1,000 people call you all at once randomly, because it's not going to come in evenly and just like, oh, one per minute, one per hour. No, it's going to be in bursts. Just like everything. The AI can handle that without even sweating, and it will qualify down even further and book people when you're available. Now all you're doing is sitting with people who want to talk with you. Imagine what that looks like.
I've seen credit card processing companies get shut down during webinars because too many people were calling in to charge their credit card. I saw a guy make $250,000 in an hour after a webinar day.
That's nuts.
100 people called in to, or it was literally almost 1,000 people called in to give him $250 for the system that he was selling. The credit card company shut him down because the calls were coming in too fast and they couldn't process through their processor. And at first they think it's fraud because they think someone's trying to scam the system and get a bunch of money off of people's credit cards as fast as they possibly can before they get caught. So that's the first alert that a credit, but in this case, we're kind of doing the same regard. We're looking at these as transactions, like you said, they're transactional processes that take place. And we could have a bunch of leads generated and close sales transactionally and not even think about all the money that we made that day if we set it up like that. That's one way. I like Ross's way better because now you're building that relationship with your customer that's going to last a lifetime. It's like they always say, you can either make $1 off 1,000 people or $1,000 off of one person. And I can guarantee you the less number of customers you have at the higher rate of trust and knowledge about that customer, the more money you're going to make anyway.
Now, on the flip side, I will tell you what else I built that I'm not sure if I'm going to share the secret sauce on this one because it'll get saturated quickly.
Yeah,
But I took these keyword leads, the data points, and I'm searching for what my affiliate links do.
yeah.
So what I've done is I am an affiliate for probably a dozen companies where I get paid just for referring business over. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking these key data points for people searching for the solutions that these softwares provide, and I start sending cold DMs to these people who are actively searching right now for a solution to that software.
Yeah.
And if they click on that link, I never talk to them. This doesn't go any further. We don't send any text. We don't have the AI call. This is purely a cold email campaign for people searching for what I'm offering. And I just give them my affiliate link. I've already gotten one of those in a week to where I'm getting paid on this. That one affiliate link made me $150 a month recurring.
Nice.
And it cost me less than $2 for the lead. Like that is when you think about that, like this is going to open a whole new market of people who want to do this for affiliate.
Well, that's how a lot of affiliates were. But what the normal process was for affiliates is they would just go and sign up for an affiliate program. They'd find what keywords they could work on, because a lot of times these affiliates obviously shut you out of certain keywords that you cannot use. And you have to watch that, because the owners of those brands will strictly adhere those policies or apply those policies to people and kick you off their systems immediately if they find out you're using like their main trade keyword, their brand name keyword, anything like that is
For marketing purposes
primarily
to
what
run
they
ads.
use, that they pay tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to marketers to market for them. So you're not allowed to touch those keywords, and you got to be careful there. But Russ has a huge one up on what used to be, and that was people would get their link, they'd go out and put a bunch of ads on Facebook or Google and push traffic to those links so that people would just go buy the product from them instead of from the manufacturer themselves. Now you don't have to be paying Google all that extra money for a hopeful return on investment when it comes to ad spend. That's a huge risk in anybody's book when it comes to trying to make money. And
don't get me wrong, this is still a risk.
Oh yeah,
if you have leads that don't qualify, they don't want to buy, you still paid for that lead, you still paid for the emails to be generated. So you have a cost for client acquisition that is going to be higher than that $2 I paid for that lead. But when I look at the individual lead, it cost me $2 to get $150. Now I've spent $40 on those leads, but I'm still getting $150 a month recurring on that one sale from the $40 I spent. Now, I don't know how long
I'd
that's
trade $1 for $2 any day of the week.
exactly. Now, the question is, how many more leads am I going to have to go through before I get to another sale? But I have until $150. And if you really think about it, if that person stays on for a year, I've got $1,500, $1,800 to work with because they're paying for those leads to be purchased. So when I talk about the lifetime cost of or the lifetime revenue generated from a customer, I've got a lot to work with. Like this is, I don't think if you're listening to this and you don't understand, you need to figure this out because this is a game changer. Like this is equalizing the playing field for everyone out here.
We couldn't nurture them like we can now. It used to just be email campaigns, cold phone calls, SMS campaigns, but there are so many limitations in can spam, which we still have to adhere to, that keep us from really reaching out the way we can now, because we have access to more ways to find the people that we need to reach out to. It's not about that. They've always been there. They're always out there. It's just how we were getting the information, how we were getting to them to know where they're at. It was a long drawn out process, and it was gate kept by places like Google, the real lead providers like Facebook, that is all they do. They generate leads for businesses and they charge a premium for that. So does Google. That's why they don't like it when companies like us step up to the plate and say, hey, we can get you some leads. They're like, oh no, you can't. That's what they're paying us for. So there's some acumen that we have to follow. There's obviously some loopholes we have to watch for too when necessary, but we also have to follow the law. So we do what we can. There's a lot of people that don't. Just keep that in mind. You may
And I'll tell
hire
you,
some sucker doing it for you.
There are some downsides to being ethical with this. In fact, a lot of people are probably making millions of dollars doing it unethically. However, I hear horror stories in certain circles that I'm in of getting 20, 30, $40,000 fines for violating these can spam laws. Like I thought A2P had some serious fines at $2,500, but for can spam, you can be fined up to 46,000 some odd dollars.
50 grand basically is the
Yeah.
number I tell people.
So
That's
if
not the
you
limit either.
no, it's not, and
That
that's
could
per
be per
incident.
occurrence. Yeah.
Yeah,
per
and so what I'll tell you is if you're working with somebody, you have to weigh the benefits. Working with someone ethical is going to make sure you don't get hit with those major fines and pull you backwards. Working with someone unethical may get you a lot of fast money, but I believe there's also jail time that can come with can spam. It's not just the fines.
Mail
So
fraud basically is what it comes down to when it comes to the Federal Trade and Communications Commissions, both, because the FTC and FCC can both step in on some of these issues.
yep.
You
And,
send anything through the postal service, you can be sued for fraud.
Yep.
And it's no different when it comes to email. It's just a different format.
and that's where Leland and I come in. Both of us refuse to work with anybody who wants to do it unethically because not just you
Not
are at
worth
risk, we're at risk, but think about what our reputation would be if you got put in jail using our systems. What's that headline look like? Right? Like I don't
Not
want
good.
that. And secondly, I think if you have a family, what did I just do to your family? I may have enabled some fun times, but then you get put in jail. What happens to your kids? What happens to your spouse? Like I want to be able to sleep at night.
And the unethical practices started right away. I mean,
Oh yeah.
something the snake oil salesman knew what they had in their hands. They knew what they could do with it, and they did it. They just started right away. There was no slowing them down. They knew what they had, so they did it. And I saw those coming across the board from day one. It was too obvious. And if you always recall, like the first thing people created on OpenAI was a bunch of companion bots. They needed to just be able to talk with people, talk to something. I don't care what it is. And that will always be a feature of AI that will never be left behind, I don't think, is that there are so many lonely people in the world. This has finally given introverts the option of whether they want to deal with real people or not. Because we don't have to force society to stick to society's norms. People can be hermits if they want. That's their choice.
Mhm.
But now they don't have to be so hermitized, to where they're just not communicating at all with anything. Now they have something to communicate with. And that was when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, what an epiphany to realize how many people don't have anybody at all in the world to talk to. You know what I mean? That
Yep.
was a sad moment in my life to realize that and go, wow, 900,000 people or whatever had to make an AI bot just to chat with because no one else would talk to.
I mean, that's just the reality of the world we live in.
Mhm.
I mean, you hear all these alpha male guys talking about how many guys can't get girls and this and that, these women who have all this stuff to where they can't find the right kind of guy. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have this computer pop up that can be exactly what you want. And it's
Mm-hmm.
this, I think it on the surface looks like a utopian, like, oh my goodness, all my problems are solved. I'm no longer lonely. But then you look at the long terms and it's such a dystopian um, future if we go down that route. I do think there's a place for it, and honestly,
There
I
is.
enjoy talking to my AI, but it's not because I'm lonely, because it's efficient and it helps my brain process things so that I can get out there in the world and be around people and have more answers and have better solutions. But I think there's going to have to be a mix.
Yeah.
But if we look at our history, social media, the internet, people are going to retract more and more into AI, I think.
Well, I appreciate you being here, Ross, as always. We will
Oh,
continue.
we can't end on that dystopian note. We
No,
gotta talk
no,
about
we're
some.
not going to do that. We're
Okay.
going to end it on a much better note than that because we've got a lot going on. If you haven't seen what's been going on over at New Oaks, though, I'm going to emphasize this. The business card, the digital business card is having some incredible improvements taking place over the next 2 weeks. The announcement has been made. Voice AI is coming to New Oaks, and it will be available in less than 2 weeks. What that means is you will be able to converse with your bot and talk with it in real time and have actual conversations with your New Oaks chatbot. If you're a real estate owner or an e-com professional, you're definitely going to want to look into this because it will be able to present content to your viewers and users out there in the widget or on the full page, which is also available. He's also allowed us to now customize the digital business card with
I saw
CSS.
that. I'm excited about that.
I know. And you know
I'm
what he
ditching my
told
old
me?
one.
He had someone that was in the know on these digital business cards says the minute you customize your digital business card, they have found a 300% increase in engagement with the brand by simply making it customized to the brand when it comes to colors, logos, whatever it might be necessary, branding for fonts and styles. It's that which sets you apart from the rest of the crowd. So looking forward to everything Ray's doing over there. Also, a big Black Friday launch is planned for the latest features out at New Oaks coming in November. So watch for that. Ray or Ross, what do you got otherwise that's going on as far as big announcements in AI?
This is it, man. What I talked about today, the biggest thing we're working on is the unified inbox to where it has an omni-channel presence. But other than that, I think we have finally solidified our product and we have everything ready to go. We're just going to keep making enhancements to make it better. I don't, it's been a long 3 years of iterations to finally get to this point where we have a viable product that is 100% ready to roll. Um, it's been a little bit of here's this feature, try it out, sell the feature, find out it
Yeah, I get
breaks,
it.
fix it, and then go back through. And now we have everything put together with a complete product. So this is it, man. You're going to see me out here scaling businesses with this product. Other than that, it's just going to be continuing to learn. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm going to get thrown some curveballs with what comes out. We're going to make a lot of redundancies. Right now, we have some bottlenecks in the systems that if it breaks, we have no recourse because it's such new technology. But they're like this, like the voice right now. We've got a couple systems, but we only have one viable voice system that's actually really good.
Yep.
When Ray brings out his voice for New Oaks with OpenAI, I think that's going to give us a nice backup. Our custom email generator actually broke on me this weekend, and I had
Did
to
it really?
build. I had to build a redundant system outside of it,
Yeah.
which is actually interesting when you look at the cost. The way it is right now, it costs 2 cents to generate an email in our system. When that broke, I had to build it outside of that system. And to do that, it actually costs 6.5 cents per email generated, doing
Wow.
it the way I did it. So there's a massive
Yeah,
increase
there
in
is.
cost to get that done outside of the system, which I eat. I'm not going to charge my clients anymore for those emails. They signed up at a price, so they get to do that. So we have to eat that cost. So we've got to figure out a way to get that cost down. I think I'm going to have my devs build it directly in AWS instead of going through Make and Active Pieces. Actually, if I can get it to work in Active Pieces, we will get that cost back down around
Yeah.
1.5 cents. It'll actually be cheaper. But the nodes that it takes about 6 nodes to build it outside of a system.
Can you do it in late node or no?
I'll check and see.
That'd
But
be
late
one
node,
test.
honestly, that process will take probably about 30 seconds to get through or less. So late node
Oh, it
would
might.
probably be good. That would get my cost down there as well. But Active Piece is the best since we have unlimited runs with them.
Yeah, and Jim and I are in the process right now of putting together both an Active Pieces and an N8N build in the cloud on a Docker swarm. So if things work out well there, we'll have that up and running. And Jim also presented to me his latest updates on the full WordPress stack that he has available. And that's a really cool setup that he has, which incorporates everything necessary, including CRM, forms, automations,
LMS.
community, LMS. It's all inside of a WordPress build with a variety of, I think, 30 different plugins that he's incorporated over time on some screaming servers right now. It's running amazing since he's migrated everything over to his internal build. So, looking forward to some of the stuff out there. If you have any questions about that, let us know. And we're also going to be advancing Best AI TV. And in order to do so, we're going to have to take a break next week. So I'm going to be sitting down with Ross. We're going to sit down on a really cool automation system webinar that's going to teach us some stuff about what's going on in the AI industry to help bring that to you. We're going to have to take a day off and do so. But we're probably going to show up, maybe if we're available, in time for the workshop at noon. So if you want to stop by Tuesday next week at noon, we should be here. If we're not available, hang around. If you don't hear from us, obviously at all, we're not going to make it, but we're going to do our best to at least make some presence and give you a rundown of how the things went that earlier morning. So anything else, Ross? I'm just going to wrap it at that. I think
That's it.
Yeah,
That's a much better place to end it than the dystopian talk.
yeah, we don't like to go there. So come on by. Next Tuesday would be the norm, but any other Tuesday after that, 11 a.m. on YouTube. We see us bouncing around Facebook, but that's not where you want to engage. So make sure you come by and hit up Ross over at Maverick Solutions. I always point the wrong way. Ross at Maverick Solutions and me over at Best Studios LLC. So until next Tuesday.
No, I went the wrong way.
Yeah, it's one side or the other. We'll get it right one of these days. Talk to you later, folks. Have a good week. We'll see you next time.
This digital age, we're breaking the mold. With AI fusion, let the story unfold. From art to business, the future is here. Unlock the potential, make it crystal clear. Yeah. It's time to fuse, let the sparks ignite. AI in action, reaching new heights. Love and business blending into one. AI fusion, the journey's just begun.